Hi, I'm Brett. I'm here with Sandy. How are you, Sandy?
Very well, thanks. How are you, Brett?
Doing well. Doing well. Yeah, not bad at all.
Great.
It's getting busy.
Mm,
It's a very busy time of year with collab days coming up. So
right.
yeah, we are well, you know, organizing. So
Right.
we've
Yep,
got
I've done that. It's
yeah,
hard.
attendees to organize, sponsors to organize, and speakers to organize, and we're just
Mm,
a few weeks out. So
mm.
yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I wish I could go.
Yeah. There's a great video actually. You can head out
Oh,
to
yes, it is.
collabdays.org and then
Mm,
click onto Bletchley Park, and you'll see a video of the event in February.
mm.
Yeah, if you've not seen the museum, the National Museum of Computing before, you'll see a bit of a glimpse at that, which
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
is quite exciting. So
Mm,
yeah,
very cool.
fantastic.
And you said that the people will be touring the museum as part of the
That's right.
day, right?
Yes, yeah. So in February we had Sir Alan Turing's nephew, Dermot Turing. He was delivering our keynote, and that was
Mm,
fantastic because yeah, a lot of people have seen the movie about
mm,
Alan Turing and so on. So it was great to sort of demythify some of that.
mm.
Yeah, people were able to ask whatever questions they had. About his uncle
Cool.
that made a great keynote. Yeah, this time rather than repeat the same sort of thing, we're actually doing a tour of the museum. Yeah, you'll see things like the bomb, which was actually in the movie as well. That's the machine that they were building.
Mm.
And Yeah, there's Enigma machines and all sorts of things that you can see there. So
Very, very
it's
cool.
it's basically the world's oldest collection of working computers
Mm,
in one building. It's on the site as well where the World War II codes were cracked.
mm,
So it's a really amazing place to be.
mm.
So
Plus, the attendees will get world-class speakers on various topics in Microsoft 365.
exactly, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to some of the sessions myself. There's a lot on Viva that's
Mm,
on there, and the new Viva goals, and we've also
mm,
got sessions on things like SharePoint hubs and associated sites and things like that. So sort of covering off some of those basics for some people. We've got yeah, the Power Platform stuff, and we've also got Teams and
mm,
Azure content. So yeah, really a great mix of different types of sessions. And we've even got some sessions. We deliberately created some sessions for people that were first-time speakers.
mm.
So pretty much you were guaranteed as a first-time speaker a slot at the event to speak.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's hopefully going to be some great sessions there too. So
Cool. And the sessions are actually in the rooms with the old computers, right? The
that's
historical
right.
computers.
Yeah, they are the backdrop.
That is just
Absolutely.
really so cool.
Yeah.
For all of the geeks in us, which is all of us, I guess.
Exactly right.
Cool.
So yeah, one step down from a chocolate factory and hosting it there. So we're busy also with the Lightning Conductor.
Right.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's Lightning Conductor month. We've got our
Mhm.
webinar coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So
Mhm.
I think that's on the
It's
20th
actually next week,
next week. Okay, so next week we've got the
right?
Lightning Conductor
Yes.
on Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be demoing what is new in the product, and of course showing you around the product if you're new
Mhm.
to it as well, and being there to answer any questions that you might have also on it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you're not registered yet, get registered for that. So you can get to that by going to lightningtools.com, clicking onto webinars, and you'll see the link there to register yourself.
But also, I'll put a link in the description of this video.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Also, a link to register for collab days.
Yep. Sounds good. Sounds good. And so, yeah, do you want to talk about some of the new features? What's
Sure, or maybe I could talk a little bit first about what Lightning Conductor
yeah, what it is? Yeah.
is.
Okay,
Yeah,
good
I mean we
call.
do that kind of every time, but now it's been 4 months, I guess, since the last release, and so it doesn't hurt to repeat a little bit. So basically, Lightning Conductor is our content aggregation web part, and the new release is in the modern Lightning Conductor. So that's for SharePoint Online. We do also offer it for older versions of SharePoint Server, but in addition, this new the modern version of Lightning Conductor does also work in SharePoint 2019 if you're using modern pages. There are some parts of it that require Microsoft Graph, but there's most of it, like the being able to use search and even the adaptive cards and things, also work in SharePoint 2019, which is pretty cool. But basically, it lets you select pretty much any scope you want within SharePoint and be able to display items from lists, which could be custom lists or any of the built-in SharePoint lists, or document libraries, which again could be the built-in document libraries or any document libraries that you've created, and lets you aggregate those from throughout whatever scope you chose. And that's all security trimmed so that the people who are viewing the Lightning Conductor will always ever only see the content that they have access to in SharePoint. But you can then style the results in different ways with the Lightning Conductor. You can do conditional formatting. You can display any columns you like. So not only just the ones, for example, that the highlighted content web part tells you can display. That was a question I had recently from a customer is, what's the difference between the highlighted content web part and Lightning Conductor, and why should my manager decide to to buy something
Well, that must have been a long phone call.
It was actually. But one of I would say the biggest thing in general is just the Lightning Conductor's flexibility, that you can pretty much do whatever you want with the Lightning Conductor, display what you want, how you want it, um, without having to display what Microsoft thinks you should want to display as in the highlighted content web part. You can also, in the Lightning Conductor, use SharePoint Search if you want to. I mean, you do have to know a bit about how SharePoint Search works to do that, but you don't have to use SharePoint Search. You can, like you do actually in the highlighted content web part, you can, in the Lightning Conductor, use object model, and that lets you, in a more user-friendly way, be able to select what you want to display. And with the Lightning Conductor, you can also use the Microsoft Graph to display content that isn't even in SharePoint, and that you definitely cannot do with the highlighted content web part. So that could include OneDrive files or planner tasks or group members, all kinds of things like that that you can get from Microsoft Graph. So I think that's
Yeah,
it in a nutshell.
absolutely. And the way that you configure it as well. I mean, you
Mm,
mentioned there about you having to know a bit about search, and we did a great deal of work when we took this to the SharePoint framework, which is quite a few years ago now,
mm,
to actually build in a quick config, which has got some very common sort of scenarios that you may want to configure. We listen to our customers and on every demo as to what their requirements are and so on. And a lot of them cross over between clients. So being able to aggregate obviously documents and tasks and events and announcements and that sort of thing from different types of scopes. And then not just about those lists, but also what columns to include
mhm,
and what conditional formatting to include as well, and that sort of thing. So those quick configuration scopes also you can choose whether you want to use the object model, which gives you that real time, as you mentioned, results, or you can also use search, which goes against the cached indexed content as well. So yeah, you don't have to always just get into the nitty gritty of working with the search query itself and
right.
the managed properties and so on. If you just use one of those existing views, you've already got a lot of the columns that you might want inside the document library
Mhm,
aggregation and so on. But of course, if you've got some custom metadata, then yeah, it's worth digging into
mhm. But
and
it's
getting to know
really
that.
easy to just add your own content to that too.
Exactly. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. In the grid view, you've got some great editing capabilities. So yeah, fantastic. So yeah, I mean, you talked a lot about modern there.
mhm,
With the SharePoint framework, obviously supporting modern in 2019 and in SharePoint Online too. One of the downsides though was actually the modern side panel.
mm,
So one of the things I used to love about SharePoint I think it was 2016 and before that with the Lightning Conductor was you could open up an item that you were aggregating that may be from a list or a library inside a different site or even site collection, but it would open it up in context to the site that you were in. As a dialogue. And one of the features that we lost was that when we moved over to the SharePoint add-in and subsequently the SharePoint framework version as well, we didn't really have any choice because of that dialogue option not being there to actually just navigate to where the item is. So we could open that up as a new tab and so on, but it wasn't just popping up as a nice little dialogue contextually. So we've been wanting to do this for quite some time, probably several years, and we decided that, well, the only way to produce this is to actually recreate that panel. So guess what? Yeah, we've recreated the panel. So now you can turn that on or turn it off. So you can control whether you want that behavior to be to open up the tab, which would be a classic view if it's tasks or something like that. But yeah, you can also open up the modern view now as a side panel.
So just like in SharePoint natively, where if you are in a SharePoint list and you just click on an item to display it, it kind of slides in from the side. So that's what we're looking at, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the Lightning Conductor now does that too. So yeah.
Now, probably more than ever, people will just assume, the rest of the business will just assume that's something that's built into SharePoint.
There you go. Absolutely. I'm sure that'll bring new support questions.
Probably.
So yeah, that's a great new feature. And we also have done some work on calculated columns as well. So I'm going to let you talk about this one because I know from your experience of dealing with a lot of customers that are more in tune with the Lightning Conductor, they're further down the line. I speak to a lot of our customers from the demo perspective, so they're getting that sort of wow factor as to what the product can do. But with you, they've been using them for a while, and they start thinking, "Hey, I need to be able to create a column that will do X, Y, and Z."
Right.
So yeah, do you want to talk a bit about the calculated columns?
Sure. So in the Lightning Conductor, I think always, ever since I can remember, there has been the ability to add a calculated column within the Lightning Conductor. I don't know about in 2007 if there was, but anyhow. And that just means that it's different from a SharePoint calculated column. In a SharePoint list, you can add a calculated column that does calculations based on other fields within that list. But within the Lightning Conductor, you can add a calculated column that just kind of lives within the Lightning Conductor instance. It doesn't get saved anywhere, but you can create a calculation based on any other fields that you're bringing up in the Lightning Conductor and do mathematical calculations or text calculations like adding, stringing two text fields together to create another column. And so customers have used that all along to be able to do sometimes some pretty complex things. Like you can create links, for example. You could build a calculated column that creates a hyperlink that uses content from the rest of that row to be able to put that into a hyperlink. And you can do that to use the calculated column to create just other HTML type fields. So you could even add images or create little icons or whatever you want to do really, and it can be a Lightning Conductor calculated column. But and so there are a lot of individual use cases that people have come to us in support on. Sometimes they require our developers to work on that. And so sometimes we can offer that as actually a customization. Something is really custom that you want to be able to do in the Lightning Conductor, we can offer that. But sometimes it's just maybe kind of a complicated calculation, but it would help other people too. And so we on the support team come up and sometimes with the help of our developers come up with a way to do that. Like just yesterday, actually, somebody was a customer wanted to display the content of a managed metadata field. And when you're using the search rollup, SharePoint search brings back just this big block of text for a managed metadata field. It's got all kinds of GUIDs and hashes and things, and somewhere buried in there is your actual managed metadata term. And so we were able to provide a Lightning Conductor calculated column that basically parses that all out and finds the actual term and just displays that. So it's that type of thing that people are often wanting to do. And so some of the more common scenarios we've now built into the Lightning Conductor, and we'll continue to add those as sort of favorite type calculated columns in the Lightning Conductor. I think one of them is to get get a link to the parent list. Yeah, some things about linking I think are the ones that are in there now. But yeah, we'll continue to add some. So that just lets you more easily learn how to. I could think you can learn use it as a learning tool to learn what the syntax would be in that calculated column to be able to do what you're trying to do.
Fantastic. Yeah. So as you mentioned, there's some good good scenarios in there, and actually those links are some of them. So being able to link to the site or to the list item or something
Yep.
like that is there. So great, wonderful. And the other part of the Lightning Conductor, there's two different types of view. Mostly that well, actually three different types of view that you can really create. So you've got the grid view. There's also some JSON views, which are sort of very specific to certain scenarios, and then you've also got the adaptive card view now as well. So the grid view is very representative of a standard SharePoint list view, where you've got columns and rows, and you can add that conditional formatting and that sort of thing. But then the built-in JSON views, we have things like a calendar view for task lists or events. We have, and you can also use that for custom lists as well. We also have things like the tile view for documents, and there was an agenda view, which you could use with events coming from Outlook or something like that through the graph. And there's also a planner view as well for Microsoft Planner and Microsoft To Do and that type of thing. So we've got a brand new view now as well, which is a slideshow view. So we had the picture preview one, which was like thumbnails, and you could click onto one of the thumbnails and it would show you an enlarged image. But actually, the slideshow one is fantastic. You've just got that one image showing at a time, and you can go left or right to navigate through the images. So there's a brand new JSON view which you can start to use with picture libraries, which is awesome.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like something good on a home page, or the home page of a communications site or something.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep. So it's good to see that. Yeah, wonderful. So I guess we're also getting into some of the sort of more technical improvements too that we made, or some enhancements that are going on behind the scenes that you may not notice, but things like the automatic numbering. I was just throwing you under a bus there, Sandy.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember about automatic numbering.
Sorry, well, the automatic number formatting, I should say.
Oh
So,
yes.
so based on
Okay.
regional
Yes, yes,
settings, yeah,
yes.
sorry, yeah.
Sorry. Right. Yeah. So depending on what your localization is on your site, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you want me to talk about
Sure.
that? Yeah, so obviously things like currency is a good example. So if you have a number column that is set to currency, I think it would always default to US dollars, regardless as to whether you had a US region applied or not.
But you could manually set it to something in the Lightning Conductor, right?
Exactly, you could manually manipulate your formatting to show it however you want. So now it does it automatically,
Yeah.
hence automatic numbering.
Yeah.
Formatting. So yeah, it'll
Nice.
pick up the relevant currency settings, and the same with date time and things like that, and so on too. So that's cool.
Cool. Yeah, and actually, kind of back to your view point, we have also a view that's a file viewer now too. That's an additional new view. So that's like the SharePoint file viewer web part that lets you put a web part on a page, and actually, like say it's a PowerPoint file that you're viewing, you can actually scroll through the slides right in the web part on the page, or if it's an Excel file, you can actually type into the cells. So we've added that to the Lightning Conductor as a view, and so you could where the way you would use that though is connecting that Lightning Conductor that has that view with another Lightning Conductor that has the grid view displaying. And so you could be, rolling up files from document libraries, and then in the first Lightning Conductor, turn selection on so that you could select one of those, and then its file will be viewed in the other Lightning Conductor, which
That's very
is
cool.
really quite cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
demoed that to a customer a couple weeks ago, and their minds were blown.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now there's a better way where you can find out how to do all of this stuff too.
Yes.
So
Good point.
yeah, yeah. So we've got the inline help guidance that's available. So yeah, if you are using the Lightning Conductor, there is so much to it.
There
Hopefully
is. Yeah,
you'll
we
actually
can't
get.
even remember it all.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll find your way around the product using that in context help too. So yeah,
Yeah, they're
as
little.
we've done with the other products.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And also, as we've done with the other products, we're revamping the Lightning Conductor's Help Center too, to make it easier to find the instructional videos and the text that goes along with those.
Exactly.
Mm,
Cool. So a lot of stuff to look forward to.
yep. Yeah, I'm excited. As you know, this is my favorite one of our products. It always has been and probably always will be.
There
There's
you go.
just so much to it, and yeah, such cool features.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
and useful. I mean, it's one thing having cool features, but the point obviously is to help people do what they get what they need to do their actual jobs. And if they need to view content from other sites, then this is the way to do it.
That's wonderful. Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to get this release out to everybody, which will be taking place next week. So
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome.
Great.
Oh, thanks so much, Sandy. I'll look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yep. Sounds good. All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.